Good evening, everybody. I am Shelly B, a conservative Black sister surviving in a hot mess world. And tonight's hot mess is woo child over in Europe. And I just said this yesterday that if they fear people enough on immigrants and migrants, they will send everybody back home. The people will be more than happy to send them home if they are afraid. COVID proved more than anything in history how people can be manipulated if they're afraid. And tonight I want to talk about the countries in Europe that have some really, really hardcore deportation and immigration policies. And like I always say, whatever they do in Europe, rest assured that they're going to be doing it over here in the United States. And a lot of these policies they have adopted here in the United States. And some of them I agree they do need to, and some are just going to be a controversy. And I can't even believe that, these European nations are going this hard. But before we get into this, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. I love you. This means I love you in sign language, and I do if you support this channel. Please like the videos, subscribe, share. There's videos on there from decades ago. You can see me when I was younger up to now. It's lots of stuff on there to look at. So please just subscribe to the channel. It doesn't take anything to do that, and I would greatly appreciate it. I like to come on here to elevate y'all frequency. A lot of the times I feel like a lot of people, especially people on the liberal side, they're just in a bubble. Like they don't really pay attention to what's going on in the rest of the world. And I could just vouch for that just out of the small circle of people that I know that they really trust mainstream media and they really listen to and believe everything that they're told on the media. And they don't really ever look to other parts of the world to see what the issues are there and see how they affect us. I'm always looking at Europe because I just know that Europe, the West, Israel, Canada, they're all going to do what Europe says. You know what I'm saying? So whatever the Europeans start doing, let's believe it's going to be over here. The Europeans were the first ones to roll out the vaccine. I was just talking about this the other day. They were the first ones to roll out the vaccine. They were the first ones to mandate shots. They're the first ones with the chips in the hand and all of this, that. So these policies on immigration, I'm just telling y'all, if you are an illegal immigrant, I'm telling you, it's a wrap for you. It really is. And if you are a legal immigrant with a criminal record, it could be a wrap for you. It's already a wrap for you in Europe, okay? Now, I have to start off by saying to you all, I say this umpteen times, anywhere you go on this earth, when it comes to politics, okay, there's always a left and a right, okay? The left is always going to be for globalism, no borders, one world government, okay? This is why they want to flood in all of these people from all over the world, because that's going to keep them in power, because if they can outnumber the citizens of that country, then they can have voters for life. So this is why the immigrants are there. Don't think that once they, get what they want to get out of the country and control all the resources and its people, you don't think that they're going to deport you or send you wherever they want you to have if you don't fit in with what they're trying to do in their nation. The right is always going to be people that are against that. Okay, just look at any country. Every country has leftist ideals that are globalist and right ideals that are conservative, nationalist. Okay, just pay attention to that and look at that, and you're going to see this as we watch these videos. If you look at this country, the left, just like in Europe, are globalists, the 1% that want to see a one world government. Unbeknownst to a lot of you that vote for this, that's what the plan is. That's what the globalist agenda is. Leftists are globalists, okay? Just look it up, okay? In any political party, any religion, okay, you're going to have, regular God-fearing people that, DeLeon says Europe is a mess. Yes, it is. And it's definitely a mess for you if your ass is an illegal immigrant. it's going to be a wrap for you too if you are an immigrant that doesn't subscribe to that culture, because the Europeans are not having it anymore. They don't want people coming over there and, you know, diluting their culture and all this and that, and telling them that, you know, they have a lot of like foreigners in their government stuff. The people are over it now. They don't want it. And the people that are there that are not assimilating, they don't care if you're an immigrant. They want you out of there. Certain countries like Sweden and France don't give a damn if you are a legal citizen or resident. They're sending everybody home. They're saying your countries are safe to go home. No asylum. Get out. Just watch this video. This is crazy. I didn't even realize it was this bad. You know what I mean? And this is the thing about Americans. The fact that you can get up there and have a protest and talk that badly about your president is proof that there's no king. Because if there was, you'd all be beheaded. Okay? You know good and well you're not going to go over into Afghanistan or you know, Syria or any of these Muslim nations and go over there and tell them how to live. You're not going to do it. You will not make it out alive. They don't subscribe to almost nothing in the leftist agenda. Okay? They don't subscribe to anything, period. They really don't like American culture and the way we do things and how promiscuous the people are here. There are a lot of things that they don't like. Okay? So as much as you get behind them, I just feel if you were in their country, they wouldn't pay you no mind, or you might find yourself in really big trouble. So let's watch these videos, because this is going to be another long one to unpack, because this has to be out here, because I'm so tired of y'all defending everybody on earth. And let me tell you something. When it comes to the Europeans, because you're going to see a lot of them in here complaining about how, you know, the radical Islamists and the Pakistanis and stuff are taking over their country. And they are. But listen, I just feel it's a bit of karma, because the sins of the father fall on the son. And there's always karma to pay. Whatever you put out in the universe is what you get back. So now these people are knowing what it's like to be colonized and somebody else's culture forced on you. And they don't like it. They don't like it. And I can't say I blame them, because I don't think I want to live under Sharia law or any of these weird policies that they're trying to inflict on the people. So y'all better pay attention. Y'all better really pay attention, because it's getting ready to get ugly. And I told you guys the other day that if they can fear people into doing anything they want. That's why I keep telling y'all need to stop being such cowards. DeLeon says Malcolm X warned us about the white liberals. Yes, he did, umpteen times. Umpteen times. And even Martin Luther King, a lot of people don't understand this, but the reason why Martin Luther King was assassinated was not because he was standing up for Black people's rights, because they care less about that. They were able to control him with all of that. Why they killed Martin Luther King was because he started waking up. And he was waking up to the political policies and the globalism and everything that they were trying to do, and the one world government that they were trying to do, and the wicked policies that they were doing abroad, and the wicked, you know, terrible things they were doing in almost every nation. There's not a nation in this country really that exists that doesn't have an Independence Day from the Europeans. So, you know, they are kind of getting back what their ancestors did to everybody else on earth, you know? So it is what it is, you know, but I understand at the same time why they don't like it, because, you know, a lot of their beliefs are just does not, it just goes against their culture. And I do feel that every country, they have a right to say who they want there and who they don't. You know, it's like people coming to your house. Certain people come to your house and they respect it, and they know how to act, and they know how to treat your things, and they know how to give you the respect you deserve in your house, and others do not. And the ones that do not have to go, in Europe is saying, we don't care, it's time to go. It's too many, it's time to go. And you're going to see the financial burdens that this has put on everybody. And this is what I'm telling you. Leftists are globalists. Please listen to me. Leftists are globalists. This is why all of these countries have the same problem, because the same group of people are trying to destabilize all these nations so they can control the people, control all the resources, and have a one world government. Okay? As long as they let in millions of illegals that outnumber the people that actually live there, they will be in power forever. Okay? They will be in power forever. They don't care if the people fight each other half to death because they know what they can do once they're in power. They can get everybody out of there. They can send everybody home, or they'll do what they did in Gaza, blow up everything, kill everybody there, bulldoze it, and start all over. I'm telling you, this is how globalists how they move. All right, so let's watch this because this was a trip.
Something huge is happening in Europe. Countries that once welcomed millions of migrants are now changing their minds.
That's the thing. Liberals will, rope-a-dope you. They make it seem like they're doing something so great for you, something so great for humanity, that everybody needs, and everybody falls for it and gets behind it. So for years, for decades, they allowed these immigration, and it just got more lenient and more lenient until they lost control over it. And now they're trying like crazy to get all these people out of there. Look, you're wait till you see what these countries are doing. They're not going to tell you that on mainstream media news what they're doing to the immigrants, and even people that are not immigrants, even people that are citizens. If you are over there carrying on that you don't like, Europeans, and like they do here, fuck the president and fuck, the people here and fuck America, you got to go. These people are not playing. They do not, you don't like it here and you don't like the way we do things here, then you could go home. Wait till you hear this. This is crazy. And they do not show this on the mainstream media because this is going to squash the whole narrative because the whole rest of the world is tired of this crap.
Fast. In 2025, deportations are skyrocketing, borders are tightening, and immigration policies are tougher than ever. But why? Is it about safety, economy, or political pressure? And which countries are leading this massive crackdown? Today, we're counting down 10 European nations sending immigrants back in record numbers.
I'm telling you, if you are a legal immigrant, or if you have family in any of these countries that are migrants, illegals, or even people that are resident aliens and stuff, you better listen and you better tell them to, watch their back, okay? And get their stuff together, because people that are there for asylum, it's over. They're sending you home. They're saying your country is safe to go home now, go home. That's the thing about asylum seekers, is that once your country is not war-torn anymore, or for any reason, they could still be warring, because you're going to see in this piece that they're still warring and they're sending the people back. They do not have to keep you here. No country has to keep you there if they don't want to. Okay, so all of the people over here that's acting crazy and doing the most, I'm telling you, your time is going to run out with all of that. You need to chill, stay off the radar, mind your business, make sure your paperwork is right, and just mind your business, get your money and chill. I'm telling you, because just pay attention to what's going on over here, because it's coming here. Already, a lot of these policies are here already.
And trust me, some of these policies will shock you. Do you think this is necessary or unfair? Let's dive into the numbers, the reasons, and the real impact of Europe's immigration shakeup.
Ciao.
Number 10, Latvia. Latvia might be small, just 1.8 million people, roughly the population of Phoenix, Arizona. But when it comes to immigration, this Baltic nation is punching way above its weight in 2025. If you look at a map, Latvia shares a 214-kilometer border with Belarus and a 292-kilometer border with Russia, two countries that have been accused of weaponizing migration, basically pushing migrants toward EU borders to create chaos.
Now listen what they said. Pushing migrants to borders to create chaos. That is exactly what they did in the United States. And a lot of people are like, oh, what about the Europeans? How come you don't see no Europeans getting deported? Because they are here, and some have gotten deported, a large group of Koreans, Chinese, but most of the people that come through the border illegally to a country are people that are close to it and can take a boat ride or walk into the country. Okay, people are not going to come from halfway across the world, illegally to come. It's not as many people as the people that live on the border of these countries. It's just common sense.
To fight back, Latvia has ramped up deportations by a whopping 45% compared to 2024. Last year, about 2,100 undocumented immigrants were deported. But in 2025, that number is expected to exceed 3,000.
And y'all better believe it. All these countries you're going to see from 2024 to now, they are getting people up out of there. And I'm telling you, they are not playing. They're not playing. And I feel like people in America, they are delusional the way they carry on, acting like they hate this country, they hate the politics. There's no country in the world really you could go to and talk about their leader like that, especially in the Middle East. And y'all have to know it too. So all of the people that are here illegally, or the people that are on student visas, the people that are on asylum and resident aliens, y'all better just be quiet. Because I'm telling you, that's the next thing that's going to happen is they're going to do what they're doing in Europe. All of those people out there protesting and hollering how much they hate the United States and, F the president and F this and F the conservatives, whatever. Most of the people are turning conservative. And this piece is going to show you this, that the people that are from there, they agree with this almost at least 70%. Most of the people agree. The taxpayers and the people that are from there, they want to see them go. So you guys might not have as much support as you may think. Just watch this.
The government has also poured 200 million euros, $215 million into border security, installing advanced thermal imaging cameras, motion sensors, and drones to prevent illegal crossings. And get this, Latvia is one of the first European countries to legalize pushbacks at the border. This means if migrants arrive illegally, they're immediately turned around and sent back to Belarus or Russia. No questions asked.
So they're making it where, just like over here, they're making it where people are going to start getting the word, don't even come there because they're going to send you back and you're going to make the trip for nothing and nobody's going to come. I feel like that liberal policy of kumbaya and let everybody come and all that, people done got tired of it for good reason. If the same exact reasons why they're tired of it over here is why they're tired of it over in Europe. And if you notice, nobody ever tries to immigrate to none of these countries that they're leaving. They just want to come to the West. But then they hate it and they hate the culture and they want their culture. Then these people there feel like, well, then if you want Sharia law and you want to, live in that way, then go home. You're free to go home. Your country is at peace right now. They're not fighting or whatever. And we don't even care if they fight. Some of these countries don't even care if you have kids here. They're like, well, you can take them with you. Everybody got to go. You know what I'm saying? It's very tyrannical, but I just feel like it was destined to happen because any nation is just going to get tired when after a while you don't even see your culture there anymore. You could never go in the Middle East and do this to them. They only do it to the West. DeLeon says Poland did a better job of getting rid of. Yes, they did. And wait till you see who's number one. And I'm not really surprised that they're number one because this country also went hard over the COVID stuff. And they were the reason why they didn't make us have vaccines to get food, because they were trying to make it where everybody on the whole planet had to get a shot in order to get food, because they knew if they say that you have to take the shot in order to go into the supermarkets, more people would get it because you got to eat. And this country went off and that's the reason why they didn't do it, because that's how bad they went off. So I'm not shocked at this country for being number one with the tyrannical illegal immigration, because they go hard. And wait till you see who it is.
Say this violates international asylum laws, but Latvia argues that it's necessary to protect national security. Another major shift?
I mean, how dumb can you be? It does protect national security to know who's coming in your country. Are you just going to let anybody just come in your house? You want to vet them. You want to know who they are. Whoever's bringing them there, how do you know them? You're not just going to let any strange, crazy person just come. You know what I mean? I do feel that everybody should be vetted. This is crazy to me that, liberals try to make it seem like it's something wrong with you. You racist. You have a phobia of somebody because you don't want them there because you don't know who they are. Jean says, my biggest worry in America is these cells that's among us. People here do not get it. Deaf to Americans means Americans. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And that is why some of these countries are like, we catch you saying that, you got to go. Now, if you were over in the Middle East saying that, they probably would kill you. So they're lucky that all they're doing is getting deported over here. And Americans complain the most, and we just have the most liberties here. That is why everybody wants to come from everywhere else to the West. You don't see nobody leaving the West to go to any of these places that they're coming to us from. Make it make sense.
Latvia is tightening its residency laws. Previously, immigrants could apply for permanent residency after 5 years, but now the requirement is 10 years, and applicants must pass a Latvian language exam. This has created a mass exodus of Russian-speaking residents.
Child, they make you learn the language, everybody got to go. Can you imagine having to learn Latvian or whatever that is to come? Forget about it. Ain't nobody gonna go there. Nobody.
With over 20,000 people leaving Latvia since 2024 because they can't meet the new requirements.
Okay.
So, is Latvia becoming a fortress? Maybe. But the government says these measures are essential to keep the country stable in an era of rising geopolitical tensions.
And that's just like what Gene is saying. And you're going to see in this piece that the Islamists are starting to outnumber the people that are from there. You know what I mean? Are they about to be conquered by, Muslims or whatever over there? It's starting to look like it. So that's why they're going hard to get the people out of there. This is crazy.
Whether you agree or not, one thing's for sure. Latvia is making some bold moves in 2025. Number 9, Greece. Greece, the land of ancient history, stunning islands, and one of Europe's biggest migration crises? Yep. Since 2015, Greece has been a main entry point for migrants, especially those coming from Syria, Afghanistan, and Africa via Turkey. By 2020, the country had received over 1.2 million migrants, more than 10% of its population.
But you got to be mad at Turkey, though, for letting the people come over here. You understand? It's the same thing with Mexico and stuff like that. It's like these bordering nations, they allow the people to cross through. It's an invasion. It really is an invasion on a nation to destabilize it. That's what globalists do. In order to control the world and get the one world government that they want, they have to destabilize all of the most powerful countries. Because you can't take them over unless they're destabilized. Because otherwise they're going to resist like they're doing now,
In 2025, the Greek government is saying enough. New policies are slashing asylum approvals by 60%, and rejected applicants are being deported faster than ever. In 2024, about 15,000 migrants were deported. This year, that number is expected to jump to 25,000. One of the most controversial measures? Asylum applicants can now be detained for up to 36 months while their case is reviewed, triple the previous limit. This is meant to discourage people from coming in the first place. Also, Greece has ramped up border patrols in the Aegean Sea, using Coast Guard boats, thermal drones, and even AI-powered surveillance to detect unauthorized crossings. The government has also struck a major deal with Turkey, promising to return at least 10,000 migrants per year under a new 1.5 billion euros, $1.6 billion border agreement. But here's the catch. Turkey is demanding that the EU increase financial aid in return for taking back the migrants. And if that wasn't enough, Greece is fast-tracking deportation flights. The government recently signed agreements with 15 African countries to return migrants directly to their home nations, cutting out the lengthy EU bureaucracy.
And see, this costs countries a lot of money, but they'd rather spend the money now and get rid of these people. Because a lot of these countries are doing what America is doing, supporting these people and, trying to help them get on their feet or supporting them indefinitely forever. You know what I mean? And no company it's not sustainable for any country. So I don't understand why people in this country are just, acting so crazy about ICE. You're here illegally. You committed a crime. You crossed the border illegally. Like there's nowhere you could go in this world except the West and do that. And it's not sustainable. Our debt is 30 some odd trillion dollars. Why are we taking care of people? Like, why? Let's take care of the people here, clear our debt, and then I can see, taking care of a bunch of other people. It's just so crazy. Liberals, I just can't understand the logic and the things that they get behind. They're always on the wrong side of history. They're always like supporting an agenda that is just harmful to Americans, and they fight for things that don't even include us. They're fighting for everybody but themselves. It just makes no sense.
While human rights groups are furious, many Greek citizens support the changes. In a 2025 poll, 72% of Greeks said they wanted stricter immigration laws.
Listen, all of these countries, including America, that's why Trump won, because that was the major thing, is that people were worried about this immigration stuff. And it's like that all over the West, is people are tired of, being flooded with illegals.
Especially after a series of high-profile crimes involving undocumented migrants.
That part.
Greece, once the symbol of European hospitality, is now one of the toughest countries on immigration. Number 8, Austria. Austria might not be the first country you think of when it comes to migration crackdowns, but this land of alpine peaks and classical music is now one of Europe's strictest enforcers. Why? Well, Austria is right in the middle of Europe's migrant corridor. It borders 8 countries, making it a key transit route for migrants heading north. Since 2015, Austria has received over 500,000 asylum applications, a huge number for a country with only 9 million people. And by 2024, the public was fed up. So what's Austria doing in 2025?
So from 2019 to 24, that's how fast it got out of hand. And I'm telling you, globalists were trying to flood all of the West so that they could take it over and control the people. Now, I'm telling you, they're going to have a hard time with the people. They've pretty much conquered everywhere on earth. They've conquered all over Africa. But the West, I feel like they could conquer too. But they're going to have a hard time. They're going to get a fight for their ass over in the Middle East. I'm telling you. And they've been waiting for jihad for centuries, So it's like, it's just not a time to play around. It's not a time to play around. I don't know how this is going to end.
First, they've cut asylum approvals by 70%. That means if you apply, the chances of getting approved are lower than ever. Secondly, Austria is prioritizing deportations, aiming to remove 40,000 undocumented immigrants this year alone. And here's the wild part. Austria is supporting an EU plan to build deportation hubs outside of Europe. The idea? Instead of housing migrants in Austria, they'll be sent to processing centers in North Africa while their asylum cases are reviewed.
And that's the new thing too with this immigration stuff. Oh, you're not going to crowd up our country. We're going to contract another country to house you. So they're going to fly you away to somewhere while you wait the court dates or whatever to see if you can get asylum and stuff like that. You're not going to stay there. I'm telling you, nobody's going to want to be an immigrant in the West with the way this is going.
This plan is still in development, but if it happens, Austria will be at the forefront. The Austrian government is also blocking citizenship applications for migrants who have received any form of government assistance in the past 5 years.
Ooh, can you believe that if they did that over here? Any migrant, did you hear what they said? Any migrant that has ever received government assistance got to go. They're not going to get approved because they don't want anybody coming to their country that's going to be a burden. So the only way you're going to be able to be an immigrant in the future is if you could buy your citizenship and contribute to their society, or you're not going to be able to come, which I kind of think that's fair in a way. And I feel like it should be a certain number of people that they allow to come every year, whatever. And that's it. Not just an influx of just like open door and just anybody from anywhere just comes and you're not vetted and you don't know where they come from. And then most of them come and they have to be dependent on the resources of the people that live there. That just is not fair. I don't understand why people would want that.
Means even if someone has legally worked in Austria, they could still be denied a passport if they've ever received welfare or unemployment benefits. And get this, Austria's newest border plan involves high-tech surveillance towers along the Slovakian and Hungarian borders. These 5-meter-tall towers come with AI-powered facial recognition that scans people entering the country. Supporters argue that these policies will protect Austria's economy and social services.
They will.
But critics say they're creating a two-tier society where immigrants are treated as second-class citizens. One thing's clear: Austria is done playing nice when it comes to illegal migration. Number 7. Denmark. Denmark is a country known for hygge, Vikings, and the happiest people on earth, right? Well, here's something you probably didn't expect. Denmark is also one of the strictest countries on immigration in Europe. For years, Denmark has been quietly pushing a radical immigration policy that's now making headlines worldwide. In 2025, the Danish government is not just deporting illegal immigrants. They're outsourcing the entire asylum process to Africa. Yes, you heard that right. Denmark has signed a €250 million, $270 million deal with Rwanda to relocate asylum seekers there while their applications are processed.
Now, you know, ain't nobody trying to go to Rwanda, so ain't nobody coming there. Nobody's going to Denmark, because if they catch you or you come there and while you wait to figure out if you could get asylum, they sending your ass to Rwanda. Ain't nobody going to come there. Nobody.
Why? Well, the government argues that this will deter illegal migration by making Denmark a less attractive destination. They say it's more humane because migrants won't have to risk their lives crossing the Mediterranean. But critics call it deportation by outsourcing. And that's not all. Denmark has also introduced a zero asylum policy, meaning they will accept almost no new refugees unless under exceptional circumstances. In 2024, Denmark approved only 800 asylum applications, the lowest number in the EU. Compare that to Sweden, which approved 20,000, and you'll see how extreme Denmark has become. In 2025, the Danish government is doubling down on deportations, with a target of 10,000 removals by the end of the year. They're even revoking residency permits from Syrians and Afghans who have lived in Denmark for years, arguing that their home countries are now safe enough for return. This move has sparked mass protests, but the government remains firm. Another controversial law? Immigrants from non-Western backgrounds must now live in integration zones, specific neighborhoods where they must attend Danish culture and language classes before being allowed to move freely. Failure.
I'm curious to know what anybody thinks of this. Like, in order to come to any of these countries, you have to assimilate. You have to learn their language and, you know, submit to that culture. They don't want your culture. They want you to submit to them. So that's very interesting. Like, and I feel like if you don't like it, then just don't come. It's like I have to keep saying, if you go to somebody's house, you have to follow their rules. The rules may be hard, but if you don't like the rules, you just don't go there. Like, I'm not going to go over that person's house because I can't even relax over there. You know what I mean? So they are right. It's going to deter people. And then you're only going to get the people that really want to be there, that are, you know, going to cause the least amount of problems and be, you know, useful to the society there and not be a burden. So I get it.
To comply, deportation. Denmark's tough stance has made it one of the most extreme cases in Europe. And yet, a whopping 76% of Danish voters support these policies.
Look at these numbers. In almost every country, it's like 76% of the people agree that they should tighten up the policies for immigration. And it's the same in the United States too. Because it just makes people feel very uncomfortable that people are here that are not vetted, that don't like us.
The country is proving that even in one of the happiest places on earth, immigration laws can be brutally strict. Number 6, Italy. Italy has been dealing with a migration crisis for decades, and in 2025, they've come up with one of the wildest solutions yet, sending migrants to Albania. Yep, you heard that right. So here's the deal. Italy and Albania have signed a €1.5 billion, $1.6 billion agreement that allows Italy to send 36,000.
And y'all mad about the United States sending their criminal illegals to El Salvador. Don't commit no crime here. Do not commit a crime and you probably won't have a problem. But the way that it's going now, they're making it where, you know, if they catch you saying anything against the government or saying anything bad about the culture and that you hate Americans, or they might really Because I heard Trump talking about that, oh, should we deport all of the people that, protest against America? I would think so, because I feel like if you don't like it here, you should leave. Go home to your country with that foolishness and tell them to make their country right for you. I guarantee you'll get nowhere in the Middle East acting like how you do in the West. So I don't know. This is crazy. It's crazy. The Leon says blame the UN. Yeah, Trump said he wanted to come out to the United Nations. I think he should too, because they rely on our money too much. And I feel like he should. He came out of the that other globalist organization, the United Nations and all of that. That's and the European Union, all of that. Those are globalist organizations. Those are the people that take you through all of this because they want to rule the world and have a one world government. He should come out of all of that stuff, if you ask me.
Migrants per year to Albanian processing centers while their asylum claims are reviewed. This move is designed to take pressure off Italy's overcrowded immigration system, where over 180,000 migrants arrived by sea in 2024 alone.
Wow.
A 60% increase from 2023. The Italian government, led by Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, has also introduced rapid deportation laws aimed at removing at least 40,000 undocumented migrants in 2025. This is a huge change from previous governments, which struggled to deport even 20,000 per year. And guess what? Italy is now seizing migrant boats at record rates.
And I just had to show this because I'm so tired of liberals just complaining, fighting with ICE, fighting with these illegals, fighting with ICE and all that. In some of these countries, you will be sent home immediately. And if you tried to do this over in a Middle Eastern country, they kill you. They'll lock you up and kill you. North Korea, places like that. Give me a break. Americans are delusional. This foolishness could never go on anywhere else. And China, what they do? Run you over with tanks, shoot at you? Give me a break.
The Italian Coast Guard has confiscated over 1,200 boats used by smugglers in the first half of 2025 alone. The message: if you arrive illegally, you're not staying. Another big shift is Italy's crackdown on humanitarian NGOs. These organizations, which rescue migrants at sea.
Gene Harrison says the main Mossad Hassan Youssef has been warning America for years up to now that you cannot reason with Hamas, and now they're everywhere. So I feel attacks is a matter of time. They already about to get a New York City mayor. The illegals are no longer our biggest problem. I was in Times Square and Soho areas the other night, and boom, they're all over. I used to live in Morris Park in the Bronx. It started with a mosque and mainly Italians, Blacks, Latinos. The people sold out their homes and business, etc. I can't see what the rest of it's something. I can't see the rest of it. Yeah, it's true. Even where I live at now is a lot of immigrants, Muslims and stuff. I mean, I have like a lot of Muslim friends and even in my family, but not like jihadist or like very radical Islamic Muslims and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So it's something to think about because they're over here. A lot of them are over here, and like a lot of Muslim people are just they believe what they believe, and they stay in their own little world or whatever. But there are some that are radicalized that feel that Christians should have to go, and they kill them. They live many lives to take them out. That's what they think. That's part of their teaching. You know what I mean? So in any religion, there's always people that are really radicalized and to the 10th power, wicked and evil to me for their God or for their religion or what they believe, and to each his own. I feel like, like I say all the time, I fellowship with many religions. I've read the Quran. I've studied a lot of different faiths and stuff like that. And I just choose to just be a free agent, when it comes to religion. I've taken themes and messages from all of the faiths, really. You know what I mean? And I'm, At the end of the day, you know, no one knows what's going to happen on the other side of the life of life. But I really doubt seriously that if you were all that, you would not be here with all these people that are beneath you. You wouldn't have to kill people to accept your God. If your God was the God, people would just see it and know. So I just feel like it's very demonic. I just feel like I feel like almost all the religions are just demonic to me. You know, everybody has the right to be free and not have somebody controlling them and telling them what to do. You know what I mean? It's just very scary that religion does that to people. And I read the Satanic Bible too, and I just felt like it controlled the mind of people just as all the other religions do. You know, when is a person responsible for their own soul and their own thoughts and stuff like that? Because you're born alone, you die alone. So, you know, I don't really subscribe to anybody trying to force their religion on me. So, you know, I'm with these people in that regard.
Are now facing heavy fines and even jail time for bringing migrants to Italian shores.
Oh.
The government claims this policy is necessary to break the human smuggling networks, but human rights activists say it's putting lives at risk. Despite all this, Italy is still struggling to control migration.
You know what? That's a very good point. How come the smugglers that bring all these millions of migrants into these countries are never caught? It's a racket. I'm telling you, it's a racket. And I feel like NGOs are responsible for, you know, helping these people get here. And they did say with a lot of the people crossing into the United States that they had little checkpoints to help them find their way and stuff like that. Who pays for that?
Especially from Tunisia and Libya, where smugglers are finding new ways to send migrants across the Mediterranean. Can Italy's new strategy really stop illegal migration? Only time will tell. Number 5. Poland. Poland is taking no chance.
I want to watch this whole video with y'all because I want to make comments on all of these things and I'm breaking into smaller reels. But you have all of these countries, the higher the numbers get, the more tyrannical and gangster they get with it. Because these countries are not playing at all at this point.
Chances in 2025 when it comes to immigration. This country, famous for its pierogies and medieval castles, has now become one of the toughest anti-immigration nations in Europe. So, what's changed? First off, Poland has completely...
Leon says those human rights activists are clowns. They really are. And they've convinced people that being a nationalist is a crime. You know, how is it a crime for somebody to like their nation? All of the people that are coming here that won't assimilate are nationalists to wherever they came from. But for some reason, their nation is not that great and they don't want to be there. They want to come to your nation and make their nation where you're at. It just never makes any sense to me why anybody would, you know, be an activist for this. It's insanity. But that's what the left always is confusion, insanity, and foolishness day after day. Incident after incident. It's just all crazy. Everything they subscribe to is crazy to me.
Italy sealed its 400-kilometer border with Belarus, building a 350 million euro, 380 million, high-tech border wall equipped with motion detectors, drones, and AI surveillance systems. This was done to stop the so-called...
And what kills me is they all laughed when Trump said build a wall. And he started building it and the Democrats, you know, took it down. What would you do that for? Why would you do that? This is what I'm saying. Liberals are mad at Trump for just cleaning up all of the problems that Democrats have created over the years. I really wish that everybody would just leave them alone and let them work. And for as much as they're always bothering them, taking on the court and doing the most and jumping in the middle and stuff, they're still getting a lot done. Imagine if they would just leave them alone and let them work.
Hybrid war, where Belarus was accused of pushing thousands of migrants into Poland to create political instability. And it's working. In 2024, over 50,000 migrants tried to cross illegally. In 2025, that number has dropped by 80% thanks to the border wall and strict deportation laws. Poland has also introduced a new emergency law allowing border guards to immediately deport anyone caught crossing illegally. No asylum claim, no appeal, no nothing. If you're caught, you're sent back the same day.
They don't care what you coming for.
And here's another shocking stat. Poland has started mass deportation flights, removing at least 5,000 migrants per month to their home countries. The government is spending 500 million euros, 540 million this year, alone on charter deportation flights to Africa, the Middle East, and South Asia. Polish citizens overwhelmingly support these policies. In a 2025 poll, 82% said they wanted even stricter immigration controls. The government.
Streamomatic says everything is about politics and appearances with Democrats. Yes, it is. Because all they are is smoke and mirrors to try to gaslight and fear people. They try to fear you into doing what they want you to do. I feel like liberals are the most scared group of people I've ever met in my life. Everything fears them. And, you know, they're willing to kill people over their fears. Instead of fearing the people that really are the problem, it makes no sense. And I talk to them a lot, and it's just like talking to the wall. It's like they don't see it. And it just seems so obvious what's happening. But a lot of them don't even understand that Democrats are globalists and have a globalist agenda of a one world government. And that's the reason why they cause hell in every nation in the world in order to destabilize them and control their resources. But they don't get it. And they're fighting on the side of enemies. Gene Harrison says they already cut a deal. And when Trump won the first time, it threw a monkey wrench in their program because they wanted to do it when Hillary won, but Trump surprised them. They would have done it, opened up the border. Yes. Oh, they were very shocked. They that's the thing. They cocky and they thought they were so confident and everything, but they didn't realize instead of being Trump, they should have had some real policies to tell the people, but they don't have any. And people that have discernment saw through it, and that's how he won the first time, and that's how he won the second time. And I really believe when Biden won, I just feel that was just fake, and there was so much election fraud, and it was proven. But no matter what you show, it's like they're not going to believe it. They're like Stockholms or delusional, whatever. They just don't want to accept evidence and facts and receipts. But now, thank God, they're outnumbered now. So now they're desperate. Now they're going to do any desperate thing that they could do. And I feel like they're just shooting their own self in the foot with every dumb thing they do. Evil always comes with its own seed of destruction. I forget who said that, but it's the truest thing. Sometimes you just let wicked, dumbass people alone and they'll destroy their own self. And that's what happened to the Democratic Party.
The government argues that Poland must protect its culture, economy, and security from uncontrolled migration.
Yeah, Gene says Obama ran Biden term for him. Yeah, he did. And I can't believe anybody voted for Biden. I just can't believe it. I just can't even. I can't believe New York is about to vote that guy in office. This guy is a plant. He just popped up out of nowhere with no. I just can't even imagine. I can't even imagine why you would pick somebody like that. But you know, it's just like Chicago. You voted for that mayor and he played y'all, and now you have to suffer the consequences. And that's what's going to happen to New York. Y'all voted for him and you don't like what he did. You don't like that he played you and threw you under the bus for illegals, and y'all mad. Spent all the money, bankrupt the city for some illegal aliens, and y'all tight. But you should have had discernment before you voted for people like that.
But critics say Poland's stance is too extreme, pointing out that even refugees from war-torn countries like Syria and Sudan are being denied entry. The EU has warned Poland that it may be violating international asylum laws, but Poland's response, "We don't care. Our country, our rules." Poland has. And
how about that? They're saying that they're violating, international, migration treaties and all that. But they're like, so what? I don't care. We don't want them. We're not taking them. So let's fight it out. And I feel like it's going to be more nations right with them. You can't force a country to take a bunch of people and support them if they don't want to. This is going to be crazy.
Clear message to the world in 2025. If you're an illegal immigrant, you're not staying. Number 4, Finland. Finland, the land of saunas, northern lights, and some of the happiest people on earth, has taken a hard turn when it comes to immigration. You might think of Finland as a welcoming and peaceful country, but in 2025, it has become one of Europe's strictest nations.
The funny thing is that all these nations were welcoming and peaceful, but it's like you have people, it's like when you let somebody move in your house and then they get there and then they disrespect your house, they don't keep it clean, they arguing with you and do. How long do you want somebody to stay with you that's acting like that? So now the people have turned on them and they don't want them. And it's messed up because it might be a portion of people that are really good, that assimilate and are happy to be there, but you know, they ruined it for them.
For migrants. So, what's happening? Well, Finland's government has set a new record by deporting over 10,000 migrants in just 1 year. That's double the number of deportations compared to 2023, and the country is only getting stricter. The government has introduced express deportations, meaning if you enter Finland illegally, you can be sent back within 48 hours. No asylum application, no long legal process.
And in our country, they're arguing about due process. Ain't nobody got time for due process. That costs too much money to house them and keep them. You're going back. What do y'all think about that? They want Poland to look like England. Hey, listen. And these countries are not having it. They don't have to have them. They do not have to have them.
And the biggest change? Finland has now shut its eastern border with Russia completely. This move came after the Finnish government accused Russia of sending thousands of migrants across the border in an attempt to destabilize the country.
What did I tell you about destabilization? That's the reason why they wanted to open the border like they did. Trump was building a wall and they opened the border. They wouldn't allow Border Patrol to keep the people out, and they had to let them in. Remember, they were trying to build walls to keep them out, and the Biden administration told them to take it down and came and took the walls down and let the people in. Why would you do that? That's an invasion. They're trying to destabilize the country. And they did, because a lot of those sanctuary cities are now bankrupt.
Finland has built a 200-kilometer border fence costing 400 million euros, 435 million, complete with drones, infrared cameras, and motion sensors. But Finland isn't just blocking new migrants. It's also kicking...
Streamomatic says Ireland is rotting right now over immigrants taking priority over citizens. Yep, everywhere that these liberal countries did this, their illegals take priority over their citizens because they know that they will have voters for life and they will stay in power forever if they can get enough foreigners to outnumber the people that are born there. That's why that's why they're doing that. It's horrifying, actually, to use people in that way. And it's a shame that the migrants, they're being used and they don't really realize it. And a lot of them go through this and, you know, it didn't work out the way they planned because the citizens, they turned on them. You know, this is how I say how dumb these people are. Because how long do you think people of a country are going to tolerate supporting illegal aliens and have them get all of the resources over them and their pain? That can't sustain itself for long before everybody just loses their shit over it.
Out those who are already there. The government has revoked over 5,000 residence permits from asylum seekers, claiming that their home countries, like Afghanistan, Iraq, and Somalia.
Jean says the main problem we had, an active commander-in-chief told them it was okay to come, and they even had Biden let me in t-shirts, so technically it was yes. And they said that they had people on the route to come with food and cards and different stuff to show them how to get there. Who paid for that? I feel like that's a crime what they've done, and they use these people as pawns. It's terrible. Streamomatic says that's it. You just hit the nail on the head. It's a numbers game for votes and power. That's right. Because if you bring in millions of people that outnumber the people that live there, they will be in power forever. And you bring in a bunch of needy people that's relying on the government and they're happy with their little universal income, their little food stamps, whatever they get, they're going to vote them in office for decades, forever, because they need them. It's terrible. And it kills me that people cannot see what is going on.
Are now safe to return to. This decision has sparked huge protests, but the Finnish government isn't backing down. And here's another twist. Finland is now targeting criminal migrants more aggressively than ever. If you are convicted of a crime, even a minor one, your chances of deportation increase by 300%.
It should.
In 2024 alone, Finland deported over 1,500 foreign criminals,
Listen to this. In America, they protect foreign criminal illegals. I don't understand this. They lock foreign criminals up in jail, and ICE is like, well, we know that you have this illegal there, and they committed this crime. We see it. We're going to come and get them and deport them. And in our country, they defend to keep them. Why do you want to keep criminal illegal aliens? What would be the reason we need them for? And then you have the dumbest people on the planet out there protesting and fighting for people like this. I don't understand it. It's insane. It's insane.
Being gang members and drug traffickers. Surprisingly, a majority of Finns support these policies. In a 2025 survey, 68% of Finnish citizens said they wanted even stricter immigration laws, arguing that Finland's welfare system should be for Finns first.
Yeah, how about that?
So,
why would tax dollars not be available to the citizens that put the money there, and it's available to people from out of another country? This is how dumb they think the citizens of these nations are. That we're going to take your tax dollars and spend it on other people to help us stay in power forever. You have to be a big dummy to not see this.
Finland becoming a closed-off nation? Or is it just protecting itself? Either way, one thing is clear. Finland in 2025 is not the same Finland from a decade ago. Number 3, Sweden. Sweden used to be one of the most welcoming countries for immigrants.
Yes, it was.
But in 2025, that's completely changed. In fact,
Patricia says, I don't blame immigrants for taking advantage of rewards politicians offer them. So it's up to citizens to vote their politicians out. Exactly. And that is what they've done in America. And that is what they're doing in these countries, because they're starting to realize that this is not sustainable. This is not going to work. You know, their country, you know, the culture that they love so much is being taken away by other people that don't want to assimilate. And they have a nerve to be mad at you because you don't subscribe to their religion and stuff like that, and want to be fighting and warring with you and carrying on. It's too much. I don't understand why you leave your country and then want to make another country the country you just left. I don't understand that. Stay there. Why would you want to come somewhere and fight with the people there to be like the country you just left?
Sweden has completely reversed its immigration policies and is now deporting migrants at record levels. Let's rewind a bit. After taking in over 1.2 million refugees between 2015 and 2023, Sweden started struggling with crime, gang violence, and social tensions.
And that's the thing. If you're going to let a bunch of illegals come over, and I can see if they behave, but if your crime rates are going up and you're bankrupting your country, what else can you do? What do you want people to do? I would love for liberals to tell us, what are these countries supposed to do when they get overrun by illegals and they're violent and committing crimes and doing the most? In America, they want to fight for them to keep them here. I don't understand it, but that's what they do here.
In response, the new government has launched Operation Clean Sweden, a massive campaign aimed at deporting at least 50,000 undocumented migrants by the end of 2025. And how are they doing this? First, Sweden has cut social benefits for undocumented migrants. No more free housing, free healthcare, or welfare if you don't have...
Do you think the citizens get any of that? Nothing. Why would you think that people eventually are not going to revolt against paying for people that are not even from there and they can't get anything?
Legal status. This has forced thousands of migrants to leave voluntarily, as they can no longer afford to stay in Sweden. Second, the Swedish government is fast-tracking deportations like never before. Immigration courts now process asylum cases in half the time, meaning rejected applicants must leave within 30 days or risk being forcibly removed.
Wow.
Already, over 25,000 migrants have been expelled under this new system. But the biggest shocker? Sweden is now deporting entire families, even if some members were born in Sweden. The government argues that if the parents...
Y'all better pay attention, because Donald Trump had just said that he does not, the law that they're trying to use for birthright citizenship was not intended for illegals. It was for Black people after slavery. And they might start doing that over here too. So don't think that you can have an anchor baby and stay in these countries. It's not going to work anymore.
Are undocumented, the children must leave too. This has led to huge protests, but the government says it's necessary to restore law and order. And let's talk about crime, because this has been the biggest reason for Sweden's immigration crackdown. In 2024 alone, Sweden saw 1,300 shootings, many linked to gang violence in immigrant-dominated areas. The Swedish Prime Minister has declared that Sweden will no longer tolerate criminal migrants, and anyone convicted of any crime, no matter how small, will be deported immediately.
Guillermo says, you have to wonder if these politicians really think they'll still be in power once the newcomers take over. How about that? I feel like they think that they'll be able to control them. I really do. I really feel like they think that, oh, these people will be so grateful to us. You know, and then part of it is too that a lot of these people are relying on government support. So they really are enslaved to them in a way. A large portion of them. And a lot of them, they may not want to go to their countries for whatever reason. The only thing I know, I just can't wait to see how all this plays out. Because I don't even know what to think about it. I really don't. Jean says the crazy part, no one is holding Biden, Mayorkas, Fauci, and Obama accountable. People like AOC and Ehan stealing 12 million. Other Dems strangely have millions in their accounts on a 133,000 salary. Everyone's quiet. We're the prostitutes because they are we're the prostitutes because they are pimping the hell out of the working class. Yes. Yep. Yes, they are. They pimp the working class so that they can get rich and stay in power. Our tax dollars make these people millionaires. And for leftists and liberals to support this, you got to be stupid. They're just ignorant. They don't see it. And you can't make them realize this. They don't want to accept this for some reason. But that's exactly what's happening. And I'm just happy that people are waking up to it. And in these countries, they woke up to it too. They said 70% in almost every country in this video that they want even harsher immigration laws than the ones that they already have that are harsh.
Another shocking fact? Sweden is now sending deportation officers into schools to identify undocumented children. This has sparked global outrage.
Listen, let me tell you something. This lady, when I was enrolling my son in school, when I first moved to where I live now, this was like almost 3 years ago, before Trump was elected. And you know that her two daughters could not go to school together because migrant kids overran the school. And to me, I feel like her kids should have had priority over those kids, but they didn't. So she was distraught because they wanted to put her daughter in another school. So they separated two daughters and put them in two separate schools because the other school that they normally go to was full, which is a disgrace. Already they're enacting Sharia laws in courts in the UK, which do not obey the current politicians' laws and standards. So why don't they realize they will not have a place in the coming government? Yup. And the Leon says Obama is a Marxist. Yup. The people that they put are just people that are good at talking. They're good at, rallying the masses and stuff like that and getting people to do what they want them to do to suit, this globalist agenda. And I'm glad a lot of people have woke up, but there's still, a good amount of people that just don't get it. They don't get it, but I feel like they're outnumbered now. They're outnumbered now, and hopefully it's the end of an era for Democrats.
But the government insists it's necessary to enforce the law. Despite the controversy, Swedish voters are on board. A 2025 poll found that 72% of Swedes support these tough immigration measures, saying they want Sweden to be safe again. So, from Europe's most open border country to one of its strictest...
And this is the thing, our country is going through the same thing, and these dumbass people are fighting to make the city streets safe. Why wouldn't you want the National Guard to come and make it safe? They've defunded the police. Most of the places in America don't even have the police forces to police. These people are crazy.
Sweden's transformation has been nothing short of shocking. Number 2, Germany. If you had told someone in 2015 that Germany, Europe's economic powerhouse and one of the most immigrant-friendly countries, would be mass...
Yes, it wasn't. And Germany was very liberal, and I was very surprised to hear that they were number 2 on this list, but I'm proud of them.
Deporting migrants by 2025, they would have laughed. But that's exactly what's happening now. Germany, once famous for its Willkommenskultur, welcome culture, is now taking a harsh stance on immigration, and the numbers are staggering. In 2025 alone, Germany has deported over 60,000 migrants, the highest number since World War II. This marks a 50% increase compared to 2023. So, what changed? Well, Germany's migration crisis has reached a breaking point. After accepting more than 2 million refugees since 2015, the country is struggling with housing shortages, rising crime...
And see, that's the thing, the housing shortages. You know, I hear liberals all the time talking about, oh, we're going to, create more housing. There's a housing shortage. I don't know. They blame it on Trump. I don't get it. But you overrun and overflooded the communities. So, of course, there's housing shortages. But if you send them back home, there won't be any housing shortages. So that is what Germany is doing. They're putting their people first and making room for their people that need help, instead of giving all of the things that belong to their people to people that are not from there. It's just common sense.
And economic pressure. The cost of supporting asylum seekers has ballooned to 50 billion euros, 54 billion per year, and taxpayers are fed up. A 2025 survey found that 74% of Germans believe the country has too many migrants and support stricter deportation laws. One of Germany's most controversial policies is the fast-track deportation law, which allows authorities to remove failed asylum seekers in just 14 days instead of the usual months-long process. This has made it easier for Germany to send back tens
in America, they want to keep them forever and years and going through all these political processes. Meanwhile, taxpayers have to keep paying. You're guilty. You're found guilty. Your claim is denied. They let them go. What are you holding on to them for? Like, it doesn't make any sense. If an American committed crime, they don't have no problem separating you from your kids and locking you up. But for some reason, illegals, they care about separating the families. They care about, sending them away. It's insane to me. I just don't see how anybody subscribes to this at all. Sweden has become a terrorist nightmare now. Yup, it surely has. It surely has. And all of these countries say, once we find out that you're out here, spewing, evil propaganda about our nation and our people, you must go. You must go. You're protesting our country and you say you hate our leader and our policies, well, then you're going home. So this is going to be interesting. I feel like the civil war that we're going to have is not going to be against, Americans or fellow Westerners. It's going to be the foreigners that are going to be a civil war.
Thousands of people, especially those from Afghanistan, Syria, and North Africa. But it doesn't stop there. Germany has also cut benefits for asylum seekers, reducing housing and financial...
Streamer Matter says, you got that right. I went to prison for 3 years for a first-time offense for a bag of weed. That's terrible. That's terrible. And then they talking about, oh, they're separating families. Women's prisons are full of women separated from their kids in America. Why are illegals held in a higher standard than any American that's in a prison right now? And America locks up more people than anywhere in the whole entire free world. But for some reason, you're worried about these illegals' families that crossed over here illegally and, using our tax dollars, and our people are not even taking care of our homeless, our veterans, our kids. The people that defend this, you want to slap. It just makes no sense.
Assistance to encourage voluntary return. This policy has already pushed over 20,000 migrants to leave on their own in 2025 alone. And let's talk about crime, because this has been a major driving force behind Germany's immigration crackdown. In recent years, German cities have seen a sharp rise in gang violence, theft, and drug trafficking, with many incidents linked to migrant communities. The government has now prioritized deporting foreign criminals, expelling over 10,000 people with criminal records in just the first 6 months of 2025. But perhaps the most shocking move—
that's logical, and that's what Trump was trying to do here, is get rid of the criminals first. All the people that is locked up already, that are criminals, that are illegals, they know who they are. But these sanctuary cities and all that, they won't give them over. Get rid of the people. This is why I say that these people are dumb, because they messed it up and made it hot for everybody. Because if they would have just let the criminals go and get rid of them, maybe the crime would have went down and they wouldn't even been paying attention really too much to the other illegals that are here. That's law abiding. But now they got to go after everybody because they can't, get the criminals that they want because these dumb liberals are protecting them. It's crazy.
Is Germany's deportation rates. Every week, police sweep through refugee shelters, train stations, and even schools to find and remove undocumented migrants. Videos of these raids have gone viral, sparking massive protests, but the government insists it's necessary. With these extreme measures, Germany has completely transformed its immigration policy, and it's only getting stricter. Number 1. France. France, which has taken the most aggressive approach to deporting immigrants in 2025.
Now, let me tell you something before we listen to this, the number 1 place that's deporting the most illegals, because during COVID, right, they wanted to make it where you had to have a vaccine passport to go anywhere in the world. You had to have a vaccine passport to go to the supermarket to buy food. I have the biggest, utmost respect for the people of France. And a lot of people probably don't even know this, because if you're leftist, you listen to leftist news, you probably didn't even know this happened. But they wanted to make it where you had to have a vaccine passport to buy food, and the French people went off. The French people went off. And I'm telling you, the French people was the most gangster when it came to all that COVID crap. The French people protested so bad about that to get food that the whole world was like, you know what? We don't think it's a good idea to force people to take this shot to get food. Let's just nix this idea because the people are going to tear the world down. So everybody better give their shout out to France, because if it wasn't for France, we all would either starve to death or have to have a COVID shot to buy food. So shout out to France. I love France for that.
The numbers are mind-blowing. France has expelled over 100,000 people in just 1 year. That's nearly double the amount of deportations compared to 2023. France's immigration crisis has been building for years. With over 7 million immigrants living in the country, about 10—
Streamomatic says Department of Justice needs to designate sanctuary cities and states as criminally aiding and abetting cities and states. Yes, they really should, especially after they told them, we want to come and get these people out of the jails that are illegal here illegally, that have committed a crime. Why on earth would you protect somebody like that? Why? Why? And I do think it's a crime. You are aiding and abetting. If I was keeping somebody from, and judges sneaking, criminals out of court and all that stuff, and, it's crazy. If I hid somebody from law enforcement, they'd lock me up.
percent of the population, France has struggled with rising crime, riots, and social tensions. The government decided it was time for a complete reset, and that meant mass deportations. One of the most controversial policies is the zero-tolerance deportation program. This means that any undocumented migrant, failed asylum seeker, or criminal is removed immediately. There are no second chances. If you're caught without legal papers, you're put on a plane the same week. And it's not just undocumented migrants. France has also started deporting people with legal residency if they are considered a threat to public order. This has led to thousands of people, including longtime residents, being forced to leave. But what really shocked the world was France's expulsion of entire migrant communities. In 2025, police dismantled over 50 migrant camps in cities like Paris, Marseille, and Calais. Families were put on buses and sent back to their home countries. Some of these communities had been in France for years, but the government says France must be for the French first.
I can kind of understand that a little bit, because if people are setting up like shanty towns and, little cities, and, you're relying on the government and stuff like that, and you're not, even holding your own, and you're here illegally, you should go. It's a messed up situation. It's messed up for the people that they lured to come here, and it just didn't go the way they thought. And they really used these people as pawns, but it's just not sustainable for any of these nations, and they're not taking it, and they don't have to.
And then there's the crime crackdown. After a record-breaking year of violent protests in 2024, the French government passed emergency laws that allow for mass arrests and deportations of suspected criminals. In just the first 6 months of 2025, France deported over 15,000 foreign criminals, including gang members, drug dealers, and even people suspected of radical extremism. One of the biggest turning points came after a series of terrorist attacks in 2024. The French president vowed that France will not tolerate those who do not share our values. This led to the deportation of thousands of radicalized individuals, many of whom were born in France but held dual citizenship. And let's not forget the new border policies. France has now shut down asylum applications from certain countries, including Algeria, Morocco, and Afghanistan. This means that if you arrive in France from one of these places, you won't even be considered for asylum. You're sent back immediately.
You heard that, didn't you? You can't even come from certain nations. They don't want to hear crap. You're going straight back home. So there's another video I want to show you too. I know this is running long, but there's another video I want to show you too. But like, you guys need to really pay attention. And if you have family in these places, you need to really tell them, because I feel like, I don't know, maybe they might know if they live there, but a lot of people that are in this country don't know anything because they watch the mainstream propaganda news, and they don't know anything that's going on in the world except that what they want you to know. And it's never anything to empower you or to give you the truth about anything. Yes, Guillermo says, thanks to independent journalism like yours and many others, I think the American people have caught on to the left's racket, especially judging recent polling numbers. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Because I know I spoke to as many people as I could talk to. And like, some people I have been able to change their opinion over the years. Took years. Years. I've been saying this for decades. And like, but I feel like COVID woke a lot of people up too, especially after the fact, because the conspiracy theorists that you were told to not to believe and hate ended up being right. And all the facts and receipts are there. I was trying to tell my union leadership that, you don't force these shots on the people, because these shots are known to cause myocarditis, along with the legions of others, injuries and illnesses and, difficulties and stuff. And they didn't believe me, didn't listen. And sure enough, now it has a myocarditis warning and 1,200 other side effects. That Pfizer's own data. So you guys need to listen to your conspiracy theorist friends, okay? Because the tinfoil hat person is batting 100.
The controversy, the majority of French citizens support these actions. A 2025 poll found that 78% of French people believe the country's immigration policies were too soft in the past and needed to be toughened up. With France taking the most aggressive stance in Europe, it's clear that the continent is undergoing a massive shift, and it looks like there's no turning back.
Nope. So that video, the link is in the description. There was another one that I wanted to show you because this politician, I think he's a politician. I can't really be sure. But his position was a trip. And it's just so unbelievable to me that so many countries in the West are all going through the same thing. But the reality is that Europe is globalist. And that is why all of the West is going through this, because they want to rule the world and they want to move everybody all throughout the world so they can destabilize every nation and make their culture weaker and this and that, and then go in there and pillage and stuff. That's why they're always at war in the Middle East, because those people are not going for it. They're not playing. They're not going for it. They're not going for it. They can't bully those people. So they're always going to be fighting with them. Israel can keep on trying to fight with them. People that they're going to be fighting until there's nobody left. So there's nobody left, because those people are not having it. I don't know what happened to my screen. I can't even see it. What happened? I don't know what happened. I can't even see the screen. Hold on, bear with me, guys. Here we go. Now I can see it. I don't know what happened. All right, so this one, I'm gonna just skip through this real fast because I wanted you guys to just hear this guy's position a little bit, because this was a trip about how the people over there really feel about it. You know, mainstream media.
The main topic of conversation is now not just who is the most credible to carry out mass deportations of illegal immigrants and uphold the law and move criminal foreign nationals from our country, but it's also how do we encourage lots of people who have not joined our national tribe, who have not fostered good relationships with us, who will not reproduce our civilization. How do we encourage those people to leave our country, go back to their own countries, hopefully build those up, we can check on them in a few hundred years, but leave us in peace and prosperity. Thank you very much.
Is Islam compatible with Britain?
Well, 53% of the British public, according to a recent poll published in The Telegraph, do not seem to think so. When asked, is Islam compatible with British values? I would prefer to use the term traditions, because that's a living thing. They said no, and that's been quite the taboo for our politicians to talk about for many decades across all parties. But I think ever since Elon Musk amplified the Pakistani grooming gang story to a global scale and then made it an unavoidable issue for Labour, people have started to realise that there are hostile communities in our country who do not think the same way as we do. They do not have the same individualistic ethic that is born out of Britain's common law tradition, its Christian.
And they say it all the time, especially in this country, of how much they burn our flag. If you go over in their nation and burn their flag, they'll behead you. They talk crap about our leadership and stuff like that. And you could never go into their countries to do that. So I feel like people like that should be asked to leave, because if you're not happy here, you should leave.
Faith and its nuclearized family structure. And we've had this going back to the Middle Ages, where the average age of marriage was, in its 20s, where in other parts of the world, it was still common for older men to marry children, for siblings to marry one another, to cousins to marry one another. And that still persists in the world today. There's been great work by an Oxford scholar called Patrick Nash looking into the case for banning cousin marriage. And he notes that in parts of the Islamic world, cousin marriage is still between 40 and 80%. And it's still quite high in the Pakistani Biradiri clans that populate various towns and cities like Bradford, Luton, Blackburn, across the UK. And so what this means is a clannish mentality, a us versus them mentality, is entrenched by family structure and by faith. And I say faith because Islam mapped onto the existing clannish structures of 7th century Arabia and created a kind of super clan, an ummah, which united all of these families under one banner, one Muslim race. And so it extended the remit of moral consideration beyond just the family, beyond just the clan, but to fellow Muslims. But unfortunately, not to other faiths. There are multiple verses.
Let me tell you something. These white people over there, they scared to death of the Muslims. They are scared of them. And I'm telling you, when you make people scared, they're going to act. And they're going to get rid of everybody over there. Because they're going to fear them into that. And I don't know what to think of it. I don't know. I have, like I said, I have friends and family that are Islamic and stuff like that. And they're fine. My best friend is Muslim. I've known him for 40 years. And, you know, I don't subscribe to some of the stuff he be talking about, and he don't subscribe to mine. And it's like, whatever. You know, I've never had any of them come at me aggressively for not subscribing to it or eating pork and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's like, you know, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It's just crazy. I feel like everybody thinks their religion is the one, you know, but them Muslim people got them people shook over there because they starting to outnumber them. And they're very frightened. Guillermo says their religious leaders openly say they're there to conquer the West repeatedly. So why aren't politicians listening? That's a good question. I don't really know. I feel like they don't care because they're not affected by it. And I don't know if we'll get to it in this video, but the link will be in the description. But he talks about how the governments give money to these Islamists and to these you know, different religious organizations and stuff like that, and support them in different political policies they want and stuff like that. A lot of them are in positions in government and stuff. So it's crazy. So I understand why the people are scared, because politically they're starting to have power, and you know, they have more kids than anybody on the planet, really. You know what I mean? So they're, you know, they're multiplying fast. And that's like he said, they're not contributing to their gene pool and, you know, keeping their race alive. You know what I mean? So they really don't see no use for them. It's really, I really feel like it's going to get heated. It's going to get heated.
In the Quran and Hadith, where Muhammad says that you should not make common cause or friends with Jews and Christians. You should strike at the necks of unbelievers where you find them. You should subject them to a jizya, kind of protection tax, rendering them second-class citizens. That was imposed upon Jewish tribes in Medina when Muhammad made the hijrah, the migration from Mecca.
I mean, you have to look in Nigeria and different parts of Africa where the Muslims are burning out Christians and killing them. So there is a bunch of them that do really believe that. So it's scary. It is scary. They have every reason to be worried and concerned.
Medina found them in their own lands. They rejected him as a prophet and Messiah. And he said, right, well, we will subject these people to harsh and violent penalties for being apostates, for being enemies of Allah. And so if this mentality that you can't make friends with people outside your family, your clan, your faith, and your ummah persists in these areas in Britain, as documented by Muslims themselves, like Edwin said.
I just have to say, those are the radicalized, very deep, hardcore Islamists. Because like I said, the Muslims that I know, and I'm from Philly, they have a lot there. And I just never had a problem. I don't really subscribe to, you know, a lot of the culture of it. You understand? But hey, you know, I've never had any issues with any of them. And I remember when I used to take my son for swimming lessons, and the Muslim lady, you know, they used to wear those like wetsuits covered from head to toe to take the swimming class. But she always said to me, she always called me sister. She always called me sister, even though she see I don't subscribe to what she subscribes to. And I'm in my bathing suit or whatever. You know, my son was a baby at the time. I guess he was about 2 or 3. And she used to, you know, shield her daughters from seeing, you know, them, or they would dress all the way in the bathroom or whatever, you know, like they, you know, which I understood that my son is a boy and, you know, he was in there, you know, but he's a baby. So, you know, but she always would look me in my eye and call me my sister. So I just, and that was just like, you know, very monumental to me, because I also had the stereotypical image of them too. But I just feel like you can't judge everybody as a group. You know, everybody is not like that. I ain't never had no white person call me my sister. You know what I'm saying? You know, they always refer to me like that. So even though they would be all garbed up and covered up in the pool with every head to toe, from wrist to ankle, with head covered in a suit, all, you know what I'm saying? So I respected them for that. You know what I mean? To call me sister, and clearly I don't subscribe, or she doesn't subscribe to how I'm living, but she still consider me her sister. So, you can't, group everybody together. I'm just a person that just believes everybody should be judged individually. I've never had any person, if Islamic person or anybody, ever come at me crazy or speak to me crazy. I've never have. So I say all that to say I have respect for them until they don't have respect for me. And just like I said, there's always going to be radical people in every religion. There's radical Christians, there's radical Muslims, there's radical Jews, everybody. So just to single out the Muslims, I don't know how fair that is. You know what I mean? Because, and listen, the Arabs enslaved the African first, and they still keep them as slaves, and they still treat them terrible over there. But that's not everybody. It's just certain fractions of them act like that. Just like certain fractions of white Europeans are racist and, hateful and politically do things to keep people under. Every race of people has the radical ass crazy people that's doing harm, that's devils. So we can't really focus on that. But the people in Europe, they are scared to death.
In the book Among the Mosques, then it's hard to say that we can have the same civilization if we keep inputting this mentality, this theory of mind, this faith into our country, and the demographic grows where now Muhammad is the most common baby name for newborns.
Guillermo said they have a saying in that religion, be quiet until you're able to make more noise than your enemies. So look out for all those quiet ones. How about that? You're right. You're all right. And I did read that, and listen. Every race feels they are the one, and I do feel that it is radical. A lot of the teaching, you know what I mean. But a lot of people, I just don't think are killers and subscribe to that. But again, how do we know? And I know that they also, in the scripture, it says that you can lie to the people in order to take down an enemy or whatever like that for Allah. Like, so they have, and it's a loyalty that they have to their faith in their God, and they're willing to kill for it. Some of them. But it don't have to be that many to do a lot of damage. And that's why, they're afraid over there. So we'll listen to him for a little bit more, and then I'm going to go. But the link will be in the description if you want to watch it in full, because I felt like this discussion they had was very interesting. And he knew a lot about it,
In Britain, I think it means that we're going to have a deeply culturally unrecognizable nation if this trend continues.
What I'm trying to say is there's lots of moderate Muslims who people would say, look, they don't believe this stuff that you're talking about. They are, basically integrated into British society, and they don't view us as all evil infidels. They want to slit our throats or something.
So Ed Hussein holds this opinion himself, a second-generation immigrant and Muslim, but he estimates as a former jihadist that about 3% of the global population themselves are jihadists. He used Caliphs, the people that want to see the reconstruction of the caliphate. Given the Muslim population, there's still 50 million people worldwide, and we're currently importing lots of them from the third world, from the Muslim world, and not exactly screening them for their views at the border. So we are undoubtedly importing and home-growing jihadists. I would say we don't want to risk our entire civilization on hoping that they are the moderate mystic sect, the much smaller sect of Islam than their Sunni or Shia or Salafist counterparts, and hope that they just don't read their own texts too closely. People might hear Sunni, Shia, Caliphist, Salafist rather. Salafists are the counterpart to the Sufis. This means that they want to live as closely and authentically a life akin to the Prophet Muhammad from the 7th century. So they wage a war on what they call fitna, and this is a word meaning temptation, occasions to sin. So everything from going on social media and in mixed sex spaces to pornography, alcohol, shaking hands with women. All of these things are to be crusaded against, to commit jihad against. And jihad, if you look at the root word in the Quran is most associated with either violence, so fighting, or malicious fighters, the mushahadeen. That's where it crops up most commonly. So there should be a jihad against all temptations to sin, which actually means that lots of British-born Western Muslims who live in segregated enclaves see the Western society around them. And this can be a further cause of radicalization. This is what Ayaan Hirsi Ali in her book Heretic calls cocooning. And the only way to, if they have been westernized and they revert back to the faith, the only way to absolve themselves of sin is something like a jihadist attack, a suicide bombing. It's not like in the Christian tradition where you have things like confession or forgiveness. It's more you need to demonstrate your submission to the faith. And this is why caliphate, the belief in the caliphate coming is so prominent among even second-generation British-born Muslims. We saw the Henry Jackson Society polling, which is very pessimistic, because it says 52% want to ban depictions of the Prophet Muhammad, a third want Sharia law and Islam to become the dominant religion in the UK, and up to three-quarters of them believe that Hamas did nothing.
That's why they're scared, because they're starting to get large numbers in Europe, and they want, their faith to be the leading faith there. So, I mean, this guy is worth watching, but this is pretty long. So I would just suggest you watch that. The link is going to be in the description. So I just wanted to show y'all how they feel over there. And, they're scared. The Europeans are scared of the Islamists. And maybe they should be, because Europeans have been relentless across the world, colonizing and doing the most, and warring and stealing and robbing and pillaging for centuries. And them chickens coming home to roost. That's just how I see it. And I don't know if they were that cocky to think if you let that many people in from other nations that they won't outnumber you and turn on you, or I don't know. I just don't understand any of this logic. It makes no sense. It's not logical on either side, except for the fact that why would you come there if you don't like the culture or the people, unless you're trying to conquer them? Otherwise, it makes no sense to come there. If you like your religion and your practices in a way, why wouldn't you just stay where you were? What was wrong with it there? So I always have that question, and I never really get an answer. So we were on here for quite some time, and I appreciate everybody who was in here with me. This means I love you in sign language. So everybody was in the comments with me. I appreciate you. You guys made very wonderful points, and I learned a lot from the people that come in here, and I just enjoy, talking to everybody that comes through. I appreciate everybody that supports my channel. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate it. It's chugging along, my good days and bad days with wanting to keep doing this. Sometimes it's time consuming. And, just when I think nobody's paying attention, then I see, a video do well, or a lot of people pop up in the comments, or, my numbers go up on Instagram, or whatever the case may be. TikTok banned me twice, so I'm not going back on there. So I do still look at TikTok, but I don't know if I'll, ever engage them anymore, because it's just too much. I feel like TikTok is just very happy with mindlessness. And if you put anything that is going to uplift anybody, they don't want it there. Patricia, thank you though for being with me. I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I just want to see, me personally, I just wish that everybody in the world could just get along, and humanity could realize that the way to override the matrix and override evil is through unity and being on one accord of love. Together, we would rise above wickedness. That's just what I believe. I didn't need any scripture to tell me that. That's just what my discernment tells me. And I feel like until humanity gets that, we're always going to be at odds with each other. We're all here together, and, love is the strongest power and the strongest frequency in the universe. So if everybody's on one frequency of love, we will rise above everything that's beneath it. And people just don't get it. I don't know why people would want to keep existing in a state of misery and anger and fighting and warring and bloodshed. It just makes no sense. Streamer-matic, thanks for being with me. You have a nice evening. Thank you so much for being with me. I hope I see you again. So I'm going to go now. Because those of you who don't know, I work in the film industry and I probably got to be up early and be at set before the sun comes up. So I'm going to go. I am Shelly B. Thank you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And I shall see you on the next one. Have a good night. Thank you. Good night.